So I know that you're probably all waiting for lunch, but I'm gonna ask you once again to close your eyes. We're gonna ask you to go on our journey back to when you were 11, 12, 13 years old. So imagine you're in your classroom, and then there's something going on. You don't feel quite very good. Maybe it's because you're bored. Maybe you don't feel in the right place. Maybe it's the teacher who doesn't explain very well. You can't really focus, maybe. Maybe your passion doesn't really lie into the school system or the school syllabus. Or maybe the school system doesn't allow you to expand or develop your passion.
Now please open your eyes. How do you feel? Maybe you feel like this elephant that is tasked to climb the tree. We were thinking about how standardized education doesn't address the individual needs of each student. Maybe one student, since the day we are born, we have our set of preconceptions or like these biases we are trained with. Maybe one girl feels like she can't do math like a boy. Or there is someone who has dyslexia and is struggling to follow the content or the way education is presented to them, but actually has a lot of hidden potential. The way standardized education works inhibits creativity in its nature itself. We believe that we need equity in education, that we can bring out the best in each child, because every child deserves education. We want each child to get to these equal opportunities, and from this ethical imperative, as a society, it is our responsibility that education can build a foundation block when these children go on to their future, that they can believe in themselves. And of course, embrace the diversity, because everyone is different. Which brings us to?
That's why we created an app, Discover Hey I. So this is our app, and the goal of this app is to provide each child the ability to feel included in the class, so to have an inclusive and personalized learning. So this would be a tool to accompany the child within the school system. So our app consists of 3 phases. The first one is initial data feeding. So this is basically the first few steps of the app, and the goal is that the teacher feeds the AI or the app with some initial data. So first there is the syllabus, which in Switzerland, for example, would be the Cantonal Lernplan or Plan d'études. So it would be basically the mandatory material from the school. And then the teacher also feeds the AI with some personal information, useful information about the students. So this could be the age of the students, for example, but this could also be, for example, for example, potential diagnosis. So we talked about neurodiversity or these learning disabilities. So this would be some useful information so that we have a more personalized teaching afterwards. The second part is the bridge phase part. So this is the very start of personalization. The student gets to know the AI and start to learn with it. So we have basically a bunch of learning styles quizzes that each student is going to take. And depending on how they like the learning styles quizzes, how they appreciate them, and which ones they feel more comfortable with, it's going to build a personalized journey of teaching for the child.
And now comes the fun part, the learning. Because now we've individualized the learning, so each child gets the type of learning it needs. So for example, for visual learners, we could provide them with videos. And of course, to make it interactive, we provide them with hints. So we really spark this curiosity and this interest for learning for everyone. And it's not just something that happens once, like you discovered this child is good at this and this. It's a progressive specialization. So each time you use these quizzes, you learn more about the child. And one fun idea that popped up for us was that maybe we could even recommend the child to attend one of the 10 science Olympiads based on their interests. And then, of course, what is better than learning from each other, people who are your age? So we thought we would have like a networking phase, even if it's for children. Group them based on their interests so they can learn and build on each other's knowledge, but of course also with that diverse range of children so they can really get the exposure and learn what there is that they might not know about yet.
So now with all of this in mind, think. Think about your ideal classroom of tomorrow. Doesn't a better future for all of us begin with?
Equitable learning environments now.
Thank you very much.
So sorry, it just shot. I haven't seen this, so none of the challengers have seen anything, so it's a surprise to me. So I had a bit of a moment before I bring the rest of the team up. Can the rest of the team come up, please? So we have Burak, Nana, Greta, Keelan, and Pedro. So you know from my side, I've absolutely loved working with you. But what I've seen from the very beginning is very much a look at the persona. So they were very focused on the child first and not really the tech. You'll see this difference between the teams. And it was really about how to provide, I love how to provide more of an equitable future for children overall who are diverse in the classroom. So you weren't necessarily focused on the generative AI in terms of fixing the equity there, but in the classroom, and I thought that was absolutely beautiful. There was so much inclusiveness of your different lenses. You all have different lenses standing up, and just even then, you used your height difference to demonstrate, you know, equity and what that is, because some people still really don't understand, you know, that piece. And I've just really loved your process of leaning into the topic and getting more and more around how can we provide a future where every child is just literally sparked with joy, which drives their interest and they learn more. Yes, there's the core syllabus. You can't get away from your homework, kids. But you have to spark the joy. So I've absolutely really enjoyed working with you. One of the things that one of the challenges I have, just seeing the end one, is how do you see bringing in other learning from outside of the classroom? Because we discussed, for example, mentors or different competitions outside, but you mentioned it, but you didn't. How do you see that? They're not being so collaborative now.
Okay, we definitely thought about it. Like, for example, there might be children who are specifically interested in physical education or PE. And for us, that was really maybe also what we addressed through the networking phase, through getting to know each other. And we call it the Discover AI, like the Discovery channel. We really thought that maybe you could always like maybe give suggestions. And if, of course, a teacher is still involved, essentially this is supposed to complement our current education system. So maybe the teacher would have this role of connecting the students further, maybe with specific mentors.
And do you see any way that it could actually also maybe help the teacher and refine and personalize their style? Because actually I think you've now got like a lot of information there. Do you see any progression of how it could help the teacher teach better when I look at the end result?
I think we could use this tool also to make the teacher more aware of the different learning methods the child is, the different students in the class learns best by, so the teacher can try to integrate that in the classroom so they're more aware of it.
I'm going to throw out questions to the audience so I don't take up all the space. There's a Würfel dice.
So there are a lot of ideas how people differ in their learning capabilities, but there are a lot of which don't have a scientific basis, and one of them is learning styles. really has the same validity as astrology. So there are not inborn differences in learning styles like visualizers or verbalizers. And therefore, coming up with a differentiation which doesn't exist, doesn't make things better, but really creates new problems. Whether one likes it or not, the only valid differences in learning capabilities is intelligence.
Well, if I would start, I kind of disagree with you with the different learning styles. Like maybe there aren't scientific basis, but I think if we look at our different like learning and different types of learning, we all have a different and preferred method of learning. So, for example, I really like to watch YouTube videos to learn about subjects, and if I read it in for example, a book, it's harder for me to grasp the subject than for a video because it's more visual. So I kind of disagree with you with the learning styles, but
We're 1 minute over, so I will say let's take this into the lunch so we can invite the other team.
We should at least consider science a little bit when we talk about education.
But we can take the conversation over lunch. Thank you very much.